I got a call from Alaska Steam, and the captain on the train ship Alaska was going to retire, and they hauled a full railroad train inside the ship, and they hauled it from New Westminster on the Fraser River up to Whittier, Alaska, in Prince William Sound. So I went as captain on there, and I was captain on that ship for a year. That was a 605-foot twin-screw steamship, and it was rigged strictly to carry a railroad train. And we could carry 10 railroad cars in the lower hold of the ship on a 100-ton elevator. We could lower them down and secure them down there, and then we would put we had 5 sets of rails on the main deck. We loaded the ship through a big stern door, and we would put 5 sets of loaded railroad cars, 10 cars in each of the 5 strings. So there was 50 cars lashed down and secured on the main deck of the ship. So we had a total of 60 cars, which they figured was pretty much equivalent to a full railroad train at that time. And we had tremendous top lashings and wheel chocks and jacks in the corners. We had tremendous lashings because you got railroad cars on tracks. You really got to secure them, or you're going to have a heck of a time out in the North Pacific, Gulf of Alaska storms. There was quite a few times when I was trying to head up to Whittier and Prince William Sound, but instead I'd have to slow down to 3 knots or so and just keep steering for Hawaii until I could get the seas either moderated or shifted enough that I could turn around and head back to Whittier to keep from rolling. You couldn't roll that ship over 20 degrees or you were going to have big problems because it was top heavy, had a high center of gravity with all those railroad cars in the ship. And you get some big storms up in the Gulf of Alaska, Bering Sea, all that country. I started as a deckhand in 1955. I got my seaman's papers. At that time, I was 16 years old, and I got on my first ship when I was 17. Sat for my captain's license in 1969. At any rate, when I got my captain's license, I had worked prior to that, coming up through the ranks. I worked on deep sea and harbor tugs. I worked on surveying ships. I worked on cargo ships hauling freight. I worked on oil tankers, ship oil. I worked for the Navy for a period of time, and I worked on 2 troop carrier ships carrying military troops. I worked on 2 cargo ships for the Navy. I spent a year in the Antarctic on a Navy icebreaker research ship, and we carried scientists from all over the world in the National Science Foundation. Okay, when you come alongside the ship, the pilot boat, if there's any sea and swell, you're bouncing up and down, and so you have to time it. And so as the boat, this is boarding now I'm talking about, so as a pilot boat comes alongside the ladder, the pilot boat skipper times it and gets alongside at the right time, and the pilot himself is standing up in front of the pilot house of the pilot boat. And when you come to the top of the swell, you jump or you reach across and grab the ladder and jump on it and jump up a couple steps as quick as you can, because as soon as you get a hold of the ladder, the pilot boat's going to fall away from you, but then it's going to come up on the next swell. So you have to scamper up as quick as you can. And if you're getting off the vessel, it's harder because the pilot boat comes alongside and you come down the ladder, and when you're 2/3 of the way down, you stop and you hold the ladder and you watch the pilot boat. The pilot boat is bouncing up and down in the sea and swell, and hitting alongside the hull of the ship. And so you're holding the ladder and looking over your shoulder, and when the pilot boat comes up on a swell, you kind of estimate, your experience tells you, when it's at the top of the swell or the sea, you kind of drop off onto the deck of the pilot boat, and then immediately the pilot boat falls away from the ship and the boatman takes off with you.